Good morning from the banks of the Upper Niagara River. I'm Mike Shope. Our heroes, Pat Kerrane, Davis Maddock, Jacob Sanderson, will join me shortly. We're on the cusp of the NFL schedule release. By the time some of you are watching or listening to us, you'll know the schedule. That's, of course, critical to best ball strategy. But just for fun, if they want it, I did whip up a fake Week 17 schedule for us to play with, just for the reps. Risers, just for the reps, Risers and fallers, headlined by the George Pickens trade, Jacobs Celtics, Jacobs Leafs, Jacobs Ladder. A preview, perhaps, of the Swole Cutta. Let's have some fun. ADP chasing, Tuesday, May 13th, 2025.
In underdog best ball, ADP is set by two separate yet equally important groups. Streamers that set the market and the slappies that chase it. These are their stories.
My goal every week in the cold open is to get sounds out of you guys. Like usually I feel like
you always succeed. You always succeed.
It always works.
I can get it from Pat with a big word, like the first week, like the star-crossed history of the 80 or something like that. I usually can get a murmur out of Pat that way.
I'm good for a murmur.
You're good for a murmur. Jacob, start us off because Celtics Leafs life right now.
I mean, look, if you'd given me before the series, the Leafs would have a best of three to go to the conference finals. I would sign for that. So that's the stage of rationalization we're at with that franchise. We have a great opportunity on Wednesday, and it's gut check time. We just got to get pucks deep and try to funnel it to the net. The Tatum thing. I mean, oh my god, that's like one of the most. Like when you like go through a breakup and then you go to sleep and then it's like the next morning, like there's like a 2-second bliss where you forget like what the bad
that
thing
moment
happened to you, and then it hits you again, and then you like go through it. I just like it's been a bad morning. Yeah.
Think about how much worse it would be without last year's championship, though. Like the thing,
that's true.
The thing that you're
that's very true. If we didn't win last year, I would be like spiraling.
Like imagine,
my
perspective of watching Kevin Durant win 2 like basically uncontested championships for the Golden State Warriors, being like, you could have just done that in Oklahoma City, dude. There was no reason. You could have just stayed, Kevin. There was no built not bought, Kevin.
Paul really sums it up here. All of Jacob's hopes and dreams.
Yeah, I mean,
give it a week.
That's a tough spot to be in.
My high school math teacher once told me that happiness is a function of expectation, and the Colts give me the pleasure of low expectations.
That's true. You can count on the Colts for that.
Jacob's next morning comes with a U, but in Jacob's world, all words come with an extra U. So there
you go.
True. That's okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good one, show.
Yeah, we're off.
Jacob,
and running.
I got a question for you before we move into the ADP chase.
Yeah,
is Jared Bednar a good coach? Because the Avalanche just reported this morning they're not firing him after another Game 7 loss.
Puck chasing.
I mean, I definitely think he's a good coach. I feel like he wasn't the one who traded away Mikko Rantanen for a second liner and a second round pick.
What is a good coach in hockey?
In hockey, right? Yeah. Who like or literally baseball. Who could say? Yeah.
I don't. Who could say? Yeah. Like what does it look like? What are they doing? Pulling the goalie earlier?
There are strategy elements in hockey.
There's a system in hockey.
Yeah, you choose the line combinations and I don't really understand hockey strategy.
I'm just in awe of Shope's question and tone there. What is a good coach? I want to call in. I'll tell you what a good coach is.
I'll tell you. That's so true. That is.
I could do this for a living.
Yeah, that's such sports talk radio.
Well, yeah. The Buffalo Sabres have not made the NHL playoffs in 14 years and have been through a few coaches. And every time they're looking for one, there's a former Stanley Cup winning coach sitting there. In this year's case, Craig Berube. And I always want to say, like, who needs that? But the
Craig
Leafs get that.
Berube is actually an idiot. I know that because I went to a bunch of those playoffs because I live in St. Louis, and
we're not going to besmirch the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs right now.
Wait, Craig Berube is the coach of the Maple Leafs?
Yes.
He's
this guy keeps falling ass backwards into like
I know
the most. I don't know what makes a good coach, but I can tell pretty clearly.
I actually don't think Berube is it. So I actually don't think Berube is a good coach. Like, I don't like his system at all. I thought we played like a way better system under Keefe, but we've already had more playoff success under Berube. So what I will give him is like he is a good like people management coach. Like it feels like
gets the guys
Keefe
jazzed.
was like always losing his mind on the bench, and like we have all this horrible playoff history, and you can just tell that he got everybody tight. Whereas Berube like is good at like keeping the boys calm. He's not good at like winning the expected goals battle,
or he got to play Ottawa in the first round, and the other guy didn't.
Yeah, I mean, but we've looked until game 4, we looked lifeless. But I was pretty proud of the boys for the first 3 games against Florida.
Pat, thoughts?
Crane, I was gonna say, Crane, you're from the Northeast. How has the hockey bug missed you entirely?
Yeah,
in my brain, Homer Simpson is dancing through a field of flowers.
It's the monkey clapping the cymbals above his head.
He's in the land of chocolate, and he's eating all the chocolate animals.
How do you ever get into puck, bro?
I just have never gotten into it.
I learned today on Twitter that everywhere in Delaware is roughly at most 35 miles away from the beach too, which I don't think of Delaware as being like a maritime state.
Delaware's weird. Like I was like a 2-hour drive from the beach in terms of like where you'd actually go. You might be. It's not you. Like,
well, someone on Twitter probably lied. Pat is what happened.
Yeah, someone on Twitter probably right. I could get to the Delaware Memorial Bridge, which takes you across the water to Jersey, but that's not like the beach. You know what I mean?
The beach. Yeah.
You got to get to like the beach. It's like a couple hours.
Yeah.
What define beach? Like an actual beach with a lifeguard, or just like sand?
Ocean. Yeah, ocean.
Yes, ocean. Okay,
I'm saying more like you're going to a beach where there's like actual people. A place you would want to go into the ocean, and then
not craggy, cold.
Do some things after.
Yeah.
A flag that tells you whether it's safe to swim.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like those beaches are a couple hours away.
All right, Pat.
From where I grew up in Delaware.
Let's get you back. So before we get into risers, fallers, etc., and the schedule, this was an interesting weekend. I was actually proud of myself for not being so online to be like deep dive into the future of best ball discourse. Davis, you wrote an essay on it. Is anything left to be said? What it's been a couple days. What wasn't said, or what needs to be the takeaway of the whole weekend? The ETR tool, etc.
No, everyone's in their camps. There's nothing new to be said. I like the tools because it helps me draft more aligned teams, drafting 2,000 best ball teams over the course of a summer. I don't think best ball tools are, as they currently sit now, are close to like you couldn't. So it's the mom test, right? My mom could not sit down with these tools. No one's mom could sit down with these tools and draft teams that you'd be like, oh shit, well, if there are 700,000 of these, I can never win, because there are so many variables and I'm not even talking about projecting 17 games variables. I'm talking about there's just too many variables into actually drafting a team that are just not there yet. And maybe they'll get there. Now, like a huge thing is like, what are these going to do to the daily games? And that is a totally different discussion.
Way bigger impact.
Yeah, way bigger impact, because then it comes closer to being DFS. But as it stands and like I draft teams on my phone all the time. Like it's not that different. Like I like having the draft caddy and the sidekick up, but like I draft teams on my phone all the time, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's not that big of a difference. Like you have to be more locked in, obviously, but it's not like. We're not revolutionizing the game. It just makes it easier.
I'll speak on the sidekick, which I think is a lot of fun to draft with. I mean, that's part of the appeal, in my view, is that it's actually very fun to draft alongside the sidekick, and then you're in control of the picks that you make. That's always been kind of the vision of it for me.
Exactly.
we have some improvements that we're going to be making to it this summer. It's not going to break best ball. It'll be a better version of the tool, but it's also not going to break best ball. And I think that part of it, I understand kind of where the sentiment is coming from. I think a lot of it is coming from a good place of people being like, I love this
get
game.
why people don't like it. They're like, there's this, I can win $2 million and not play against quote unquote pros. It's the opposite of DFS. It's the opposite of poker and all this stuff. I get why people are upset, but frankly, I do think
people's fear is that there becomes a double rake, right? That's like the fear, I think, is that you're like, I'm already paying underdog 10%, and if it ever gets to a point where like I have to have these tools to even compete, then you're paying double the rake, where you're paying it on the tools. I get it. I get the fear. I think that we actually might hit that spot in the daily games. But like I don't know. For me personally, like the tools are cool. I don't think that they impact how I would draft very much. Like I think that if I'm drafting a team on my phone on the toilet, like I trust that I'm already kind of thinking about my draft the way that the tools would think about the draft, with the exception of like I have different player rankings than Leg Up would have. But like that would be the decisions that I would already make, where like if Leg Up tells me to draft one player and I'm like, I like this guy more,
I put my own rankings into it anyway.
Then I'm just going to do it. Right. It's
like, you can put your own rankings in as well.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just, I don't know. I think it, I guess obviously it helps like some people that would otherwise be terrible to like reach a competent structure. But I think it's like equally weird. Like
yeah, but those people's money, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Your money.
That's what I'm saying, like, right? Like, it's like,
yeah,
I get like, if you're a person who's saying like, oh, this is very nefarious because like now, you know, we're getting squeezed as the consumer because we're getting like double rake. Well, it's like essentially what you're saying is like, it's
that you have a moral claim to other
idiots'
nefarious
money. That I'm playing against people that are complete morons.
Right.
Like, I want to take their money.
Your real gripe should be with rankings.
Yeah.
If that's a position. I mean,
Right.
rankings are doing a lot of work to get people to just
Your gripe
understand
should
what
be
the
with
player
this
pool is.
show. Your gripe should be with this show. This is a free show where we could say this is an obviously bad pick. You shouldn't take this guy here. Instead, you should take him here.
My goal is to help my subscribers be better at these games.
For sure.
That's it.
This, by the way, did happen in DFS in a way that it hasn't happened with Best Ball, where people actually did actively complain about content, not about the tools. When the tools came, that went pretty quickly. People were just like, well, we're just not going to win this battle. Like, I think people were mad for about 3 months and they just realized what DFS was going to become. But people used to be big mad. Like, this is so funny to put your brain in this space, but people used to be mad about the Swolecast because Evan Silva would come on. People used to be mad that the Swolecast was giving away EV for free and it shows like the Swolecast, right? Because they were like, well, you know, you're giving away, I can't believe you would tell the good plays for free, right? But the thing about Best Ball that is so different from DFS and so different from poker is that the fun of the game is about disagreeing on the inputs. The fun of the game is saying your input on Xavier Worthy or Rashi Rice or Marion Hampton or whoever is wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and for some reason,
so...
people are complaining about Drake May for that.
I think it's very, very different than the DFS stuff, where it's just because the projection is so variant, right? Like that, because the inputs matter so much more, like Davis is saying, it's like, yes, like if you use the tools, it will protect you from drafting completely incompetent, unwinnable teams, because it will give you the structural. I mean, I guess it won't. You could just ignore it and draft 7 quarterbacks, whatever underdog allows you to draft anyway.
No,
but it will,
now big underdog stepping in. The moral claim: underdog does not let you draft any more than 5 quarterbacks now.
Right. Okay. Well, then
won't even let you do it.
Whatever it is, so it will somewhat.
Nevertheless,
it'll keep the ball, you know, on the court, so to speak. But I don't know. I struggle to have a major problem with if people who are funneling their money into this game want to pay to have access to be slightly less bad at this game, that like we shouldn't have tools available to help them. If it got to a point where like you could buy the Sidekick, never log into the Underdog app, and have it draft 150 teams for you, I would be like losing.
But that's not.
Like,
I don't
that
understand.
would be terrible. But that is not.
I've seen some
happening.
stuff like that, and I'm like, I'm not like that's not a goal of mine, and I don't understand why
Yeah.
that would be a goal. Like,
I would be
Right.
against that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want that
Yeah.
for myself. Like
Yeah.
a total tool that makes the picks for you, and the teams are not dog shit. I'm
some of the
against
stuff that
that.
we're talking about adding this summer is like would actually have more kind of user input, so it's not just the auto draft thing is not just that's not fun to me. I want to be drafting these I want to be actually drafting
Yeah.
these teams. It's again, like I think having that information and kind of seeing like, oh, right, Kyler Murray's a better pick here than I might have considered otherwise, because of what I did earlier or whatever. That like the feeling like I'm having something that kind of helps me keep stay locked in, stay locked in on this draft. I find fun. So that's part of it for me. And then there are other, real-time assistant options as well. Like for example, you could always send a message to ADP chasing while you're on the clock in a big dog and see if
The green
pros
dot.
will answer.
Pat he's so over us with the green dot with the chat. I've never seen the chat until Pat puts it up. Green dot.
So, people are going to try to get better at these games any way they can.
Agreed.
Well, interesting weekend. Are you guys schedule honks? Like, do you love, are you following nerding on NFL? Do you have like I do, admittedly, a tab up where you see every update?
I'm just making mental notes of the week 17 games. I'm way less week 15 and 16 pilled than other people in the best ball community, but I do want to know the week 17 games. Maybe not even so much for the bringbacks, but just ideas of like the games that are going to be good, games that are going to be indoors. Like, for example, the Chiefs and the Broncos are playing in Kansas City in week 17. Yeah, it's not great. I don't
Do you
love
want
that.
the weather forecast? I looked last night.
Yes, I do.
So if you go to, like, you do a search, the first one up is the Farmer's Almanac. So I click on that, but that costs money to find out what the Farmer's Almanac is telling you the weather.
That doesn't feel very
Christmas.
moral. I think the Farmer's Almanac should be free. It should be
They should-
unfair that some people can predict the weather, 7 months from now.
They should pay you. They should pay you.
I think that's fucked up. Frankly, I think that's real time.
I don't think, it just shouldn't exist. They shouldn't
Yeah.
make an art farmers on
44 and partly cloudy, but that's during the day. Kansas City.
It'll be
Okay.
cold. It's
Overall,
cold. It's normally very cold in Missouri in December.
In my research, which is eschewing the Farmer's Almanac option because it wanted $10 for me, and going to the next site, which I can't name.
Nice.
The weather, the weather overall that weekend is not to worry about. Buffalo was the only place where look out for snow, but it's Buffalo, of course.
How accurate is the 6 month in advance weather forecast?
I don't know.
I mean, farmers used it for 200 years, Jacob. It's got to be pretty accurate.
Yeah, about when to plant crops.
Yeah, and we're always bailing them out.
They weren't planning vacations around this thing.
I'm not sure they cared about the same things we
nice.
do. 23, but a 15-mile-an-hour gust or something is very different to us than it would be to the farmers. I'm pretty sure the wind is a bigger deal to us.
I'm not sure farmers were
David did call El Nino 11 months out. This is
I
true.
did call El Nino, and I was right, and it didn't matter because the Cleveland Jets game was like two
it was
teams
kind of what
who
you
didn't
wanted.
care, and they just scored 1 billion points because no one cared.
Have you considered becoming a weather tout?
Well, you want to talk about an industry with no consequences?
Not already?
Weather touting, yeah.
You could probably design some better tools there. What do they got? The Doppler 5000 or whatever. Seems like it got some
Doppler.
I think the thing.
You're dating yourself.
The thing I will be most
what's the weather
locked
channel?
into
I'm like, a long time.
I mean,
is Colts, Raiders, Cowboys, Saints, Falcons, and the Lions and the Vikings. Where are the dome teams home? Are the dome teams away?
Mm-hmm.
Houston. Yeah, because those are probably the biggest spots, right? Like if the Panthers get a week 17 game at New Orleans, that makes me more interested in Tet. That makes me more interested in Chuba. Probably makes like Jalen Coker draftable. I don't really have him as draftable.
I don't know. That's the one
I
team.
drafted
That's
the
the
shit
one.
out of Jalen Coker.
Are you? Yeah, I've drafted some. We had
My most drafted player.
Adam
when I was on
Thielen, the
vacation.
inconvenient truth for Jacob.
I was on vacation
Well,
last
I've
week.
just
and,
abandoned Leggett from last year.
Cabo.
While there, I timed out on a pick, and then I sent the message of who I wanted, and it didn't go through. So I was just sitting there, timed out, but I didn't know. So the rest of the league is, just cheerily moving along with the draft, laughing about how I never got my pick in. So then I'm on the clock again, and I timed out the last time. So I was like, as soon as I saw the on the clock notification, I jumped in, I dropped my player, I figured out who was there, and then Jalen Coker was sitting there. So scoop up Jalen Coker. It was like, damn, that's pretty late in the draft for Coker.
So you think?
Nice.
Unbeknownst to me, Gretsch has traded up to the pick ahead with Leone, but Leone was like about to time out. So he trades for the pick. The pick times out. And then here comes Pat, completely MIA for like a day and a half to steal Coker before he has a chance to get it resolved.
And then it turned out that Coker was actually not eligible to be drafted because he had been dropped by someone else in the draft.
Is that true? See, I didn't know that.
Really?
I went back on vacation.
Yeah, this is in one of our dynasty leagues.
So I don't have Coker? Oh no.
Is that one of those where you have to drop a player every time you pick one to stay?
You just
compliant?
have to you have to stay at 30 or the software won't let you.
Well,
yeah.
Tough teams,
I
man.
believe Coker's not on your roster, Crane.
No,
I believe.
No, that's a bummer.
Sorry to hear to break this to you right in the moment.
Yeah, in real time.
By the way, Davis, you'll be excited to know that in my fake Week 17, it is New Orleans and Carolina, but the game is in Charlotte, 55 and sunny.
Oh,
my research tells me is
we don't want
very
that.
playable.
We need
very playable.
for proper Week 17. We need all dome teams at home.
How do you
need
know how many these matchups are? Like is this is this from Twitter? Like when's the?
We don't. Let's just make that very clear. I don't. But one thing about Week 17 is you have 3 games on Christmas, and you have maybe 3 on Saturday, and a Sunday night and Monday night. I think the league is pouring a lot of energy into that week, which is interesting for us. Josh Allen will be on the Today Show on Wednesday morning. Why? So, I mean, he's the MVP. He's Josh Allen. But
you guys are.
Yeah, right. This is ADP chasing after all. So you gotta come hard. Allen is probably, there's going to be a Buffalo reveal. Could it be week 1? We've already got the Thursday night game. Maybe. I think there's the Peacock holiday exclusive, however, in week 17. I think teams like New Orleans and Carolina could end up being paired up. Indianapolis, Jacksonville, no offense, because we have like 8 island games, including Denver, Kansas City. That's the one we know in week 17, which could be like
8 island games.
Yes. 3 Christmas, 3 Saturdays, Sunday night, Monday night.
Sled as excruciatingly as humanly possible, and they want to make sure that we never
they have to be stopped.
ever recover our relationship with our families.
Yep.
I don't. Christmas was the NBA. So like, can't you guys? You have to take Christmas. You have to just. This is the true war on Christmas.
I didn't watch the Ravens game on Christmas. I watched the NBA. I'm not watching some. Didn't the Texans score 2 points in that game?
Yeah, it was 31-2, and I watched the Celtics
I watched none of it.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
The NFL really
also
has a
Kansas
thing.
City, Pittsburgh that day.
People don't like skip. If you're like really in the NFL, you don't tend to like not watch slates. But they're getting to the level where they're like, well, I'm just not going to watch some of the NFL this weekend.
They will win. They already won. They just sort of knocked over the NBA in one moment. Like this is now their day.
They'll win, but at what cost?
Yeah, they'll win it, but what cost? Because they already won.
Like
they already had won.
I will watch, but I'll be really angry about it.
You can watch the NBA on Monday or Tuesday. You watch the NBA every other night of the week.
My favorite part about being an NFL fan is that I don't have to devote every day to it.
Yeah, I don't have to check the schedule. I don't have to figure out when the games are.
The whole reason I became such a big NFL fan was like, it's actually not that inconvenient to my day-to-day life to watch like every NFL game, because I can just be like, look, during the fall, I'm not available on Sunday afternoons for hanging out with people, but I'm available all the other times. And then that's like fine. I can make do with that. I can have a life. And now the NFL is trying to road my life.
They're trying to take that away.
Well,
Exactly.
they are, and they will, and you do what you want. But I do think it might be relevant that two Christmas Day, 2 Netflix, 1 Prime, Saturday, 1 Peacock, 2, I don't know, Sunday, still Sunday night, still Monday night. That is 8.
That's a good point, Colin.
That is 8 standalone games, and they're not going to be bad teams. So maybe that's relevant to what we're doing. We won't know until tomorrow night, but maybe it's relevant.
Is tomorrow night the official release? Is that?
Yes. Wednesday
All
night,
right.
yes. I'm excited to show you my list, but it'll wait till the end.
We will probably have most of the Week 17 matchups by the time that show releases.
Yeah, usually I've done this every year for a long time. Usually it's like dinner time in the East, Wednesday. My first year on the air, so I'm getting ready to go on. It's 2001 or 2002. And I went to the Bills website, called up their last year's schedule, just changed the number of the year in the URL. Boom. They don't let you do that anymore because that was like next year's schedule. Like, guys, I think I've got it. And this is not coming out until tonight. I think I've got it. All you have to do is change the number.
That's amazing.
In the URL, and like, here's the schedule. I'm pretty sure it's official, unless it's like a great gag by the Bills. Now it's not as easy.
They're like, we got it, so let's just publish it so we don't forget to do it.
That's right. That's right.
We just won't send anyone the link.
That's right.
Amazing.
Okay. So George Pickens happened after we got off stream last week or the next day. It seems like a long time ago, but we haven't touched on that yet.
George Pickens, yeah, it's been after the last show for sure.
Late Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. That trade is at the top in terms of risers and fallers. Pickens moving up and Jalen Tolbert moving down.
I feel like these are not that. Hang on, let me try and re-download these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacob, is Pickens a lot more interesting, or what? Is he a lot more valuable than
I was already
week?
drafting a ton of him anyway. So I'm a little annoyed that we didn't. I wish this trade could have happened in like 2 months after I had 25% Pickens in the 7th. But yeah, I'm definitely way more intrigued by George Pickens. I think he's in that mix now with to me, of the guys in that 4th, 5th round area now is kind of where I would rank him. I think he's pretty similar bet to a Jordan Addison.
Are these old?
That's old. Pickens is the top of the list this week.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the projected team level pass volume for him probably went from, I don't know, 490 attempts to 620 attempts potentially. And there's no one there outside of CD that draws targets. So it should be a pretty similar setup in terms of the wide receiver target distribution to what he was going to see in Pittsburgh, just on a way bigger scale from a way better quarterback. So it's pretty fantastic.
So the old ones again. No, these are both old. I don't know what's going on, guys.
Let me see.
Davies, you want to help me vamp about George Pickens while Pat tries to solve technology?
I'll jump in. Yeah.
Well, I was a big pro George Pickens guy as a prospect. I was pro on him before DK Metcalf was there, and then I was lower on both Pickens and Metcalf, both as Steelers. Well, thinking that the most likely thing probably was a Pickens trade. It was just hard to see a spot. Obviously, the Cowboys was a pretty obvious spot. They had just given such vibes that they were like, we're good here. Like the Colin Cowherd thing. We don't need George Pickens. We have Jalen Tolbert. We're good. Turns out they did need George Pickens. And I think this is actually one of the biggest dominoes that could have fallen in the preseason, because it takes a team that was looking pretty brutal, CD, and then Jake Ferguson was the tight end 14. They have this weird backfield with a bunch of bazillion old guys. And instead,
I don't know.
Now
I don't know what's going on.
They have a real competent wide receiver 2. Tolbert is a fine wide receiver 3. Turpin is a fun wide receiver 4 gadget player. Ferguson's back in his role. The Cowboys are going to be fun now. This raised the ceiling for a team that plays in a dome. Basically,
When I saw the trade, I was like, this is awesome. But then it was the the compensation is strange. The trade itself is actually pretty strange from a real life perspective because they haven't been able to get him to sign. So you're potentially getting 1 year of George Pickens for like what, a third, and what they sent a third and a
Wasn't much.
Yeah, but
It
if
was
he
a
doesn't
third,
sign,
and
we'll
they
probably get the third back on comp.
on compensate. Oh, yeah, okay.
was a
Especially
third, and
Dallas.
they
They don't sign
traded
anyone
late
anyway. They're
future
never going
picks.
to counteract their comp picks. They sign.
That's
no
true.
players
They
ever.
can be counted on for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really and maybe I wasn't thinking about it right, but that part I was like, huh. But the actual like move makes a ton of sense. Like Pickens is a perfect complement to Lamb. I think Pickens is really good. So I guess the question really is like, is Tomlin right about needing to move on from this guy? But I think Tomlin kind of botched last season. And if Pickens is pissed about how Tomlin completely botched this quarterback situation and kind of the offseason leading up to that, Pickens is right and Tomlin is wrong. So, if that to the extent that contributed to the relationship deteriorating, like I'm team Pickens, and I also think he's really good. So I was kind of
I'm probably betting
Pickens.
Tomlin's wrong. I just, if I had to guess, now Pickens probably is like going all the way back to his time at Georgia, a bit of a.
Sure.
Like he's not like a football guy. I mean, he's got the diva wide receiver thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a dick, but that's fine.
That's yeah. We
totally
deal with that all the time at receiver.
Yeah,
all the time.
I think
I finally have this figured out.
More of his maturity stuff is like sort of
Let's go.
You can live with it. There are guys who are disruptive, and there's different forms of that, different manifestations of that, but on the field, I think you've got a player. So get him in a place where he's not sort of agitated by what's going on around him. He might not be that mature, but maybe I'm not sure Dallas is perfect for that kind of, personality type, but there's potential.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I still have Pickens ahead of this, actually. I still have him ahead
56.
of I still have him ahead of this, and I think he's a prime target. You know who the biggest beneficiary is, though?
Me do
it's
too,
Dak,
by the way.
right? It's the biggest winner here.
Yeah,
for sure.
He goes up into the quarterback window, right? So he's right there with like Purdy.
He always kind of should have been,
Goff.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
The tail risk, I think, was pretty big. Of like the offensive line is cajumbled year over year. He's got one good wide receiver. They have no run game. The uncertain.
But he has
stuff.
like a history of being great every time that you write him off.
It's
the cycle of Dak. Like every time that you're like, Dak's actually an elite quarterback, then you get rugged. Then every time you're like, actually Dak stinks, then it goes the other way.
Then he's the 8th best quarterback in the
constantly
NFL.
in a cycle. Yeah.
Drafting only offensive lineman named Tyler is not necessarily a winning strategy.
I think Burrow's better than Dak.
Strategy.
Is it?
Burrow's better, but if he didn't have T. Higgins and Chase Brown lost a step, we wouldn't be like, oh my God, can't be drafting Joe Burrow. Like
you're not allowed to think Dak Prescott is great. You're just not allowed to think that. And I don't know.
You're not. But part of it is he's gonna lose in the first round of the playoffs. But I don't care about that. I really don't. I really don't.
He's the Mitch Marner of the NFL.
He's the poor man's Lamar Jackson
Vince
in
Carter?
that way.
Yeah.
Kind of, or
he's kind of Vince Carter, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bill's minority owner, Vince Carter.
I said Mitch Marner, but Vince Carter also works. Mitch Marner's a hockey player.
Well, I just converted it to a basketball player in my head.
Yeah, it also works.
I translated you from Canadian
two
to
famous people to the nation of Canada, to the
5 letters, 6 letters.
Toronto athlete legend.
Toronto, 5 letters, 6 letters. Easy mistake to make. Vince Carter, Josie Altidore, both minority owners of the Buffalo Bills.
I could jumbled it in my mind.
Now, I would like to push back on something. I don't view this as a huge positive for DK Metcalf, mostly because I view it as just a net negative for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is May 13th. The market is still assuming Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. And most recent reporting on Aaron Rodgers is that he will neither confirm nor deny if he is married. So
what?
What?
True. This is a true thing that's happening right now.
Who is he maybe married to?
So let me.
Are we running?
While you're looking that up,
Antonio Brown at this point. Like,
While you're looking that up, there is some buzz today that Rodgers will sign and they'll play Green Bay week 1 at night.
Oh, that would be such Rodgers thing. Oh, that would be for Rodgers
Yeah.
to wait for the schedule to drop. They're playing Green Bay week 1, and he goes, "I'm there," and he does the championship belt. This guy,
If you're the league, you'll take it.
you'll take it.
He'll
So,
take it. Yeah. He knows he'll take it, and that's why.
If Rodgers is confirmed, the quarterback, I guess the thing you are saying is that Aaron Rodgers, wide receiver 1's always mostly been good.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time thinking in my head if Metcalf is like, does he have any stylistic similarities to any of the guys that Rodgers has really vibed with? Because
he's sort of the same size as Alan
Maybe
Lazard.
Nelson.
you're right. You're right. He's the Charizard actually of Lazard's.
Yeah, he's the
The
Charizard.
The
of Lazard.
Lazard, you might
He's
say.
the
Lazard. Charles.
Yeah.
Charizard.
Box check.
Okay.
Charizard.
He's the
So maybe
Charizard.
I need to I just 46 feels rich for like how many pass
I've been
attempts?
taking Metcalf. I think he could have like a 33% target share. They have
I
no
have-
one else in
so-
the wide receiver room at all.
I mean, they will have Alan Lazard. That's not,
They
that's
will
not
have
a
Alan
joke.
Lazard. I mean, that's already
Right.
been reported.
That's
Given.
true.
I have J-Mo ranked over him, which I have a sense the panel will be against me on that.
Ooh.
I'm against you on that.
I think my feelings on JMO were revealed in our Dynasty podcast.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Jameson like he's like 2 rounds too high to me.
Sometimes you just got to go that boy nice. And that boy is nice. And I've been working this take in the back of my head that again you guys will probably disagree
Tools
with.
can't
that
save you from this one, Davis.
That's okay. That the Lions offense might actually be a bit more fantasy friendly for Jameson and Laporta if they're a little bit less efficient and there are just more receptions to be had. If they're not, remember they had 2 games where they scored 8 straight touchdowns. The Titans game and who was the other team that they just like? I don't remember.
Jaguars. The
Jaguars. Like what if we're just in more spots where Jared Goff is attempting 42 passes?
I think that is reasonable, but I just don't understand why Jameson would benefit. To me, he would benefit the least. Like when I think of like a team that is trailing, playing catch-up mode, piling up the PPR volume, like that's not usually to their like low volume.
Just
high
more
efficiency deep
theoretical,
threat.
just more theoretical plays for Jameson to score.
I get that.
70-yard
I just don't think that
touchdowns.
like, but when you're in that mode, like if you're not being efficient and you're behind, defenses are not giving you the 70-yard touchdown. What they are giving you is like Amon-Ra 8-yard catch,
Right.
Laporta 7-yard
Right.
catch, Amon-Ra 8-yard catch.
In some
I get
ways-
it for Laporta. I get it for Amon-Ra. I don't know that helps Jameson. Like to me, he's a guy that benefits from them playing from ahead. The linebackers all come up and then boom, we get you over the top.
Single coverage. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I also think that you have to, what the Lions are doing is they're like kind of trying to recreate that, that magical run that Jared Goff had with Sean McVay and kind of, but like even better. And that's with Ben Johnson, at least they achieved that. But that requires a lot of things to be working together in harmony. And one of those, I think, is just a strong run game. You're pivoting off of that. I think that if this team were to get like less efficient, it could get a lot less efficient because it is fundamentally a Jared Goff offense. I don't want like
Jared Goffense.
yeah, the Jared Goff offense.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I think I don't know. I want this offense operating really efficiently. If I have
All right,
any
hear
of the
me
pieces.
out. Hear me out. One more take. What if Jared Goff does, or what if Jameson Williams starts getting more targets at a lower ADOT in year 4? He's just a little bit better, a little bit more consistent, full. He's just been in the building for a long time.
I could see like
what
more
if?
kind of crossing, intermediate stuff. Not like
Get him the ball while
Amon-Ra,
he's
but-
already moving
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
I tried to
could see
do
that
that on my
stuff.
Madden team with him, but he wasn't
How did
really
it go?
effective in that role.
Yeah.
Like I think he's been better at Z with a 52 yards per reception. I just thought like his hands were a problem. Like I threw him a couple of contested slants and the ball was just getting popped. And I even got him the X Factor dev trait, but it wasn't helping him in the short area.
All right. One more thing on top of it. How does Tesla play into this?
I don't have him on my Madden team, so it's hard to say.
Who could know? How could you
He
expect?
wasn't
that?
uploaded into this draft class.
Yeah, please stop using
Turn
tools for
Tim
your best
Patrick's
bonus.
turn Tim Patrick's speed up to 99, and that is basically the same thing.
I mean, there have to be.
He has 99 speed. He couldn't separate in that clip that was going around Twitter.
Oh, he better have 99 speed. If Isaac Tesla doesn't have like theoretical like high 90s speed, then it's like it's like a really terrible draft pick that Brad.
That's why he says his name the other way.
Davis, really
He might be
terrible.
Davis, I have
protecting
some
him.
news for you, buddy.
That's like the guy like putting the hands on the shoulders meme. Where it's like,
Jameson
Yeah.
Williams, ADP 51. He's got to be good for 2 or 3, 5 for 148 in 2 weeks.
I'm holding the line. I am not convinced by what Jacob and Pat said, really at all.
not
And
even
I
my
would
Madden analysis.
No, I'm holding the line.
Just
I
draft
think
Jordan
that
Addison if you want that. That's the part I
Jordan
don't get. Is
Addison's
like
10 picks cheaper.
that's my point.
Yeah, and I would just
That's
rather
my
have him
point.
straight up. Every single time that
JMO
Jameson's there,
is-
I just click Jordan Addison.
Yeah, just give me
JMO's just
Jordan Addison.
much better. I just think he's
I think
a
so
better
too.
player.
What?
I think so
Yeah.
too.
What?
Jordan Addison is
What?
Jordan Addison is
What?
kind of he's
What?
he's the
He's
tar-
fine.
he's like the
Addison draws more volume. He's more efficient. Like what? Like
He's
he
the
does it every year. He
Charmeleon
won
of
the
Devontae
Biletnikoff
Adamses.
Award.
It's
he's the
okay.
Charmeleon of Devontae Adams is what Jordan Addison is.
I mean, he was lucky to have Kenny Pickett. I think we can all agree on that. Just sort of a
He made
product
Kenny
of
Pickett.
playing with Kenny Pickett.
made-
Well,
he
I
made
look at that
We know
the other
Kenny
way.
Pickett's name because of Jordan Addison.
Yeah, the only
other-
reason
you
Penny
can look
Pickett
at that
is
either
alive
way.
is because Jordan Addison. Oh my god.
My argument
John F.
is
Kennedy had a disease named after Jordan Addison. He's so powerful.
It's
Yeah, I
all maybe
Ron-
not for Davis. It's all eyes, but Jameson Williams is one of the very few players in the league where they get the ball and your jaw drops. Like it's just like
it's straight up that simple.
Addison.
Yeah.
Most guys, it's,
His top gear is as fast as anybody's. I'll give you that.
He's very quick. He's
You know
very
what?
fast.
You know what?
Yeah, he's very fast.
Let me
fast.
try and sell you
Very
guys
fast.
on this. He's a little
And
Tyreek-y.
famously, the wide receiver speed perfectly correlates with NFL success.
All right.
The fastest guy.
No,
You're on mute.
literally 1-to-1. But can I sell you guys on him being a little
No.
Tyreek-y?
Okay, go
No.
ahead. I'll listen.
So Reek,
I won't.
very similar start.
I won't.
I'm listening. Go ahead, please. You have the floor, Davis. Come
So
on, bring it.
JMO's development curve, let's just be honest, JMO's development curve, very weird. He had just like an insanely weird start to his career. And I was out, really. Not
Are you
out,
talking about
I
a sports betting app? The development
I'm
on
talking
that? Is that
about
what you
I'm
mean?
talking about combination
ACL.
torn
Oh,
torn ACL, sports betting suspension. Last
Yeah.
year was his first full season. He racks up 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns on 91 targets and 11 attempts. Now, at running back, my friends, we know that efficiency is not a good predictor of future volume. In fact, it's the opposite. A wide receiver, though, we do know that efficiency tends to be a larger predictor of volume. And JMO's going to be in a weird comp range because his first 2 years in the NFL, I mean, let's just be honest, they were objectively bad. He was like useless when he came back from the ACL
Oh.
as a rookie,
Don't
and
you
he was
tell
not
me twice.
particularly good in year 2. But then he was awesome last year. He was. Like, let's just be real. He was awesome last year. And I think my bet would be
He
a
was
guy
good.
who's-
I that's where I think maybe I don't think he was awesome last
Yeah.
year. I think he was
Dude,
good.
he had
took a step.
1,000 yards on 91 targets. That is awesome.
Yeah, dude.
the 91
like, I
targets
guess we're just
isn't
the
good.
bus meme. Like, yeah, he had 1,000 yards on 91 targets. Like,
You guys are lacking imagination. That's where you're lacking imagination.
The problem
This
is that
is like-
Amon-Ra St. Brown is like, if you want to talk about who's
Exists.
awesome, Amon-Ra
Yeah.
St. Brown is awesome. That guy's
Okay.
awesome. Jameson Williams took a step and is like a good outside wide receiver in the NFL, which is normally awesome. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the league, so the bar is higher here. It's just not like, and then you have Jared Goff as the quarterback. Like, Jared Goff is going to be locked into Amon-Ra. Like, that's just kind of who he is at his core. So I think Williams could. It's not that Williams can't beat ADP, but I think it's a thin bet. It's a thin bet.
What happens if the coordinator change is a big downgrade? Does that mean
that's
relative
bad for him? That's bad for Williams.
It's not
bad for Williams.
Yeah.
Well, because look, I mean, we're talking about who can draw targets.
Yeah.
Who can draw targets? Amon-Ra can draw targets. That dude can draw targets. The coordinator is not necessarily like critical for Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a bigger deal for Sam Laporta because he's got some limitations as a player, and Ben Johnson showed that
it's the biggest
those
deal
didn't matter
for Laporta.
It's probably the biggest deal for Laporta, but it also could be a big deal for Jameson Williams. I mean, it's like, man, I've never seen a guy run so fast. How did he get the ball in the first place? It wasn't even always that he caught it, right? They're designing
jet
stuff
sweep.
Yeah.
The play that always
well-designed stuff. That to me
comes to me
okay
about JMO is the Jared Goff has to go to the locker room for the concussion. Hendon Hooker trots in there. He tosses a jet sweep to Jameson Williams. He goes 70 yards to the house to like keep his team alive. It's like what Jalen Brunson did for the New York Knicks last night. Too soon. Like there are so few players in the NFL because everyone in the NFL is great, right? So there are so few players who are able to just have a true. Also, it was Teddy Bridgewater, not Hendon Hooker. There are so few players who are able to have a truly unique ability like that, and Jameson is like one of like 6 guys. I don't know. Jameson's not on the slide.
He's not on the slide. I love how he's not even on the screen.
But it's fine.
Yes.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Right.
59. This is ADP, by the way.
We're not going to let the tools determine our content.
True.
Quote tools. Yes. By the way, on the list, George Pickens, we've talked about. DK Metcalf connected. Rashi Rice from 32 to 29. There's Prescott. There's Jaden Blue. It's a big Cowboys week. Garrett Wilson, Pat Bryant.
Big day this week. We got Chiefs and Cowboys all over this thing.
And
the Rice thing
Pat
is
Bryant
clearly,
sending my boy Mims to the woodshed.
The Rice thing is just a necessary reset, right? Like there was no particular reason to expect great health news. We got better than expected health news, and so now the market is correctly
suspension news too,
and no suspension
and suspension news. So like if he's playing week 1 and he's going to play the whole season, which it sounds like is the case. Davis Maddock broke that news on X.com. Then yeah, I mean he should be, I think, even higher. I would consider him in the second round.
Yeah, I think he can move up a little bit too.
Yeah, you hate Xavier Worthy though.
Yeah, he's absolutely. I hate him personally.
You also have no imagination with Xavier Worthy, but
correct. Yeah. Did you see that nice little 10% success rate against?
I saw your tweet, and I thought it was a good personal growth from me to not interact with it.
Are we approaching the
tweet? And it made me proud of myself.
It is unfortunate because I was trying to reel in. Like I was tweeting Davis bait.
I was walking around
waiting for the reply.
I was walking with my dog, just stewing. Just being like, oh man, I'm gonna zap his ass. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait for him to score a 72-yard touchdown in week 2, and then quote tweet this.
David's old takes exposed to you.
Are we approaching the moment on ADP chasing this week?
Yeah, but you just wait until Rice's 11 catches for 94 yards, brother. And I'm gonna zap you one reception at a time.
I love that Davis's growth is goes from zapping people on Twitter to just the bookmark. He just bookmarks it
when the time is right.
The old screenshot.
Yeah. Approaching the moment in the show where the guy on Discord says, "You guys are just setting up and ramping up arguments," and Pat laughs, and I just take a drink while you guys just hash it out. Are we approaching that
That is
moment?
the whole show.
He's allowed to
Davis,
accurately describe
with
the show.
A guy named Matthew Harmon, but he charted Mr. Worthy. He had a, let's see here, 20th percentile success rate versus man.
That's it.
16th percentile success rate versus press. A lot of room for growth for Gadget Boy Worthy over there, it seems, in his profile.
Yes, literally. There is so much room for growth. The guy was like legitimately he was the leading wide receiver and pass catcher for the AFC representative of the Super Bowl. And everyone, including his supporters, agreed that he was objectively bad. He's got so much,
Yeah,
he's got
third
so
round.
much
Let's
room
go.
to grow, man.
David, I don't know. At some point, we want to see some growth already, and then project continued growth. You know what I mean?
Well, Pat, I don't know if you know, but there was this one play in the playoffs where Mahomes scrambled, and then Worthy came back to the ball, and then Davis decided that he was the greatest receiver of all
Davis,
time.
listen to these two. Jameson Williams, Xavier Worthy. Who'd want them on their football teams? I mean, right?
I know these guys are all charts and graphs, man. Sometimes you gotta just
these guys are all charts.
how different would you feel if just one of the 70-yard bombs that Mahomes missed him on connected? The move
I would feel a little different. That'd be about 0.11 yards per route run. Yeah.
They were all bad throws. He threw him out of bounds 3 times on those plays.
That wouldn't really affect my chart. No, Worthy's ceiling is very high. So there's I do understand the play. I think I'm kind of in the middle here, which is to the Discord message as well.
Right.
But I do think there's a ceiling. I think, Worthy, he's a first round early declare receiver. He was didn't he break out as a true freshman? There's a number of he's super fast. He plays with Patrick Mahomes.
He's 21 years old today, bro.
Yeah.
He's still 21.
Right on.
If you're thinking about who can break fantasy from the 3-4 turn, he has to be on the list. But it's just how likely is it actually to happen? The press stuff, I would say, is I couldn't be concerned less about that. I mean, we know who he is. It's not like Xavier Worthy's bench reps suck. Oh, really? Okay. So what? There's he has a style of play that he's not going to be great against press coverage and stuff. But he's with Andy Reid and he's with Patrick Mahomes. They're going to find ways to get him the ball.
Well, the Patrick Mahomes part, that's the thing you have to worry about in this equation. And I'm not even being sarcastic. Is if Mahomes is just this Gardner Minshew style quarterback, then Rice is the way better fit. Rice is the perfect.
I do think Rice is a better fit, frankly.
Yeah, I agree.
Rice can definitely draw his own targets. At least he could before he got hurt, and seems like the recovery is going well. So that's where I think Rice is kind of infinitely safer and just as high upside, really, for our game.
I mean, I think higher upside. We've seen. I mean, it was only 3.5 games, but the last time we saw Rashee Rice, he had a 33% targets per route run and over 3 yards per route run.
Yeah, he was absolutely dominant.
He could have been the wide receiver 1 overall last year if he had stayed healthy the whole season.
Christmas night or Christmas Day, Patrick Surtain against Kansas City. Who's he on? Week 17.
Probably
big. He doesn't.
Not right. He doesn't go in the
slot.
Week 17.
Week 17 quarterback match.
That's a real game, though. At least that's an actual matchup that we know. It's the one that
the honest answer is with how Kansas City deploys the
Hollywood Brown.
They're probably going to get him on Hollywood Brown.
All right.
Yeah. The answer. Well, and if you listen to Ben Gretsch in the we were arguing yesterday in the ship chasing Discord. Gretsch is the first person I've seen invoke the name of Jalen Royals to besmirch the name of my boy Xavier Worthy.
I just think people aren't telling you. I think Gretsch had the audacity to tell you to your face, but I think Jalen Royals is being floated around as a Hollywood killer.
Give the 6.5. It sounds like with the Chiefs on Christmas at home against Denver. Pat,
I would take if you could get 6.5 on Denver right now, I would take that. I think
that's the number I threw out, but there might be a number out there that's a little high for you. Okay.
No, I'm saying Kansas City home against Denver, week 17. That's a classic Vegas zone 4.5.
Yeah, it's the number's high for you.
Yeah.
Pat Bryant, is he good?
Maybe.
One knows.
Does it matter? Is he good?
It will matter.
Yeah,
but we don't necessarily need
to
know.
Who does it matter for in your guys' estimation? Who does it matter most for?
Bailey.
Yeah. Okay.
Franklin's
in trouble.
What's matters a little for Sutton.
Matters a little for Sutton.
Matters a little for Ingram, but maybe less than Sutton. It matters for like all the ancillary Broncos, because if Bryant's like good enough where they just play him all the time and they play Sutton all the time, then all the other Broncos, like the Franklins and the Mims and all those goofs, are just dust at that point. They don't have the routes.
Yeah, although those guys, I've not been on Mims the whole time really, and I think in part because I think he kind of always is probably going to be in some kind of like rotational type of thing, and
right,
they're looking for someone who can kind of play more traditional. I think Franklin is similar, where he's going to be in like a rotational.
The new Devery Henderson people are saying about.
Yeah, no,
I
exactly.
think the Mims bet kind of like
Robert
like
Meacham.
Mims will be in a
Robert
rotation.
Meacham. Exactly.
But I think if you're betting on Mims, you have to kind of hope that like everyone but Sutton remains in a rotation, but Mims gets the most fun usage. If Bryant ends the rotation, then it's kind of over for Mims, because then he's just getting gadgety stuff. That he's
yeah, then he's, oh god. The Pat Bryant thing, he's such a weird prospect because he's slow. I think he had a 4.6 140, but he was a deep threat. So you're like, well, how's this gonna work?
He scored 3 game-winning walk-off touchdowns.
Yeah.
Eric Froton was talking about him on the Roto World podcast and was saying like what he does as a route runner is pretty impressive in his mind, and very kind of subtle in like the way he like sets up defenders using his body, and kind of like, even though he's not fast, he can still stack guys and stuff. But it sounds like the type of dude who would be a pretty good fit to actually move into more of like a shallow to intermediate role, you know, and that's how Sean Payton talked him up. You know, he compared him to like Michael Thomas or whatever, which is ridiculous, but there's a reason he picked Thomas and not like a deep threat, even though he was an outside deep threat. So I think he's probably the hope for Pat Bryant is that you get a guy who can draw targets in an offense where there really are targets available. So
Totally.
I think he's a good pick. I don't know if he's good, but you get draft capital and opportunity.
And he has some
for
production.
very little cost.
Like, to me, he's a better prospect, more interesting prospect than like the rest of these kind of random round 3 receivers. Like, I thought his profile was a lot better than like Tesla, Ty Felton, Savion Williams. Like, even absent just.
I like him better than all those guys too.
So I agree. I think you should go ahead of Mims straight up. Honestly,
Wow.
I like him. I haven't even considered.
Jesus Christ,
Marvin
dude!
Mims this year.
Did you just wake up saying I'm gonna hate all of Davis's guy? Anyone who's ever been good that Davis liked, I'm sending that guy to absolute 0.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, I lost Jason Tatum, and now you're gonna feel
I hope Max Domi plays all 60 minutes of game time.
You've been seeing my tweets calling on NHL Department of Player Safety to please suspend Max Domi.
That happens. That happens. Please save us from our guy. Please get him off the ice. That happens.
I have been in constant communication with the Department of Player Safety, begging for them just to do what's right and stop Max Domi's heinous crimes on the Florida Panthers. Yeah, can't wait for that slashing penalty 2 minutes in. Yeah, I guess like speed holds less sway over me, I think, than it does over you, Davis.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think that is literally it. Is you just a 60-yard touchdown does nothing to you. Watching Marvin Mims sky to the air to drag his team to the playoffs in a game they absolutely had to win in an overtime game. It's just you are unemotionally moved. It just does nothing for you.
I tell you what, I hope Xavier Worthy has the biggest week 2 of his life. I need to see the reply tweet.
Chiefs at Chargers week 1 Friday night in Brazil.
God, what? Okay, well, Mahomes is going to do his knee in that stadium, so you could just go.
Worthy's actually going to have a big game in that stadium where no one can like walk, like where they're just like sliding around on the field. Like he's going to do the Jaden Reed thing where it's
that's true.
Oh,
that's
like
so,
7 people just fell
true.
down in the middle of the field and Worthy just ran in for an 80-yard touchdown.
Still time to delete that tweet, brother.
We lost Jordan Love.
Yeah, but which quarterback is going to have the hyperextended knee on that turf?
Oh, God.
Well,
man, I hope
Herbert can. Mahomes will have it, but he'll play the next week anyway.
For sure, and he'll talk about how hard he rehabbed it. be like, oh man, it's really tough.
Had the
It's
extra
really
2
tough, dude.
days.
But like, I the trainers here are really good. I got some good advice from Travis on what happens with the hyperextended knee. So, I'm feeling like we're in a good spot.
Pat, is it time for a Patrick Mahomes and Bill Simmons podcast between these two? Is it time?
Yeah, I would like to hear Bill's thoughts on that.
Mahomes on Simmons show. Anybody on Garrett Wilson real quick?
Love him. Love Fields. Love Wilson. I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, I mean, I've been drafting Wilson. He's not like a priority necessarily, but we have him like rated ADP. I think he's fine. I'm just way less worried about the field stuff than I think most people are. That tends to come out in the Brees stuff, but
things would have to get so bad for Tyrod Taylor to come in these games, like so dark for Taylor.
Oh man, it'd be awesome if he did though.
It really wouldn't be awesome.
We lost Jordan
I still
Travis,
have some hope for Fields. Fields has flashed some really high end stuff. If you can get better coaching, help clean up the worst of it on the low end.
I gotta find a fun player that I like today, so I'm gonna just not say any bad things about Fields. Otherwise, we're just gonna come off as the biggest doomer of all time.
Speed,
so I think
unconvincing.
Justin Fields rocks.
Another year of if these 6 things go right, Justin Fields will make it another year.
Garrett, I'm like Jared Goff.
If Jared Goff gets these 6 things, he's actually good. Like these, you can if you build an offense around a quarterback.
It's happened every year with
what
Goff.
has with Goff.
Yeah,
not every year.
It actually
we've seen what Goff looks like when the makeup comes off, and it is woof.
That's pre-COVID, but you're right.
He was like, and I think we're gonna see it again one day. But
we will.
Fields has a Lions assistant now, right? That's
Engstrand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that Fields and Goff have all that much in common. So I don't know that like building an offense for Goff equates to building an offense for Fields. But
I actually don't see that's. I kind of disagree in a sense.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jacob, you're wrong. It's all processing speed. It's the same.
Yeah,
but Goff like can process. He just gets rattled under pressure. He like
you're right but you have to keep him clean in a way where you also have to keep Fields clean. The things you can do with them are different. But I don't that the Lions absolutely loved play action, like loved it, and Fields makes a ton of sense as a play action quarterback.
Totally.
I think it's like kind of Tannehill-esque, and he did actually play decently under Arthur Smith. It's just that like they were committed to going back to Russ. He wasn't amazing or anything, but he was fine. I think he didn't wash out of that situation because of the way he played. He washed out because of a decision that was made before he ever stepped foot on the field. And so I think it's like part of a heavy play action offense. And then you're doing some more designed run stuff with him. You're doing more like boot stuff where he actually has a chance to run. You're attacking deeper downfield. But my guess is that the Lions would love to have attacked deeper downfield on a regular basis but they had Goff, like that's kind of the way they do it. But building everything off the run game and all of that, the way the Lions do it, I expect the Jets to try to do the same thing. And I think that also makes sense with Fields. Like, so he'll have a chance here, I think. I don't know much about the new OC. Like, he comes from the Lions. I'm assuming good things. We could easily, like, where Shane Waldron came from? The Rams. Right. We've had all these guys come from systems, and we're like, oh, they're really good. That so many guys have come from Reed, and then we're like, oh God, this dude stinks. So I might be overly optimistic in that regard, but I just feel like I haven't seen this guy in a good system that actually passes like once. Maybe we get that this year.
Maybe
that'd be awesome. I'm very into Fields at cost. And I'm very, 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 very into Brees. And then Garrett, I'm fine. I like taking him. I don't know. I'll probably
Garrett, I'm fine.
6 to 8%.
Yep.
Maybe we will get that this year. What we will get this year is ship chasing in Florida, August 2nd and 3rd, Fort Lauderdale, Ocean Resort, all of this. Jacob chimed in our little chat with can't go. And my family's got a place in Muskoka that week, so I will not be there. That's for Jacob, Muskoka. I will not be there either, but it sounds great, and it's available
Does
to
your
the
family's
ship chasing
place in
community.
Muskoka want to host a bachelor party that weekend? We're looking.
I misspoke. It's not ours, but we rent one every year, different places.
Yeah, come on,
but
Dad. We're doing a
great.
little yacht during the day on Sunday.
Sounds
and,
great.
A little drafting. It'll be a blast.
August 2nd and 3rd. Check that out in the ship chasing Discord or on the Thursday show for more. Right, Pat? Any other way to connect with that you know of?
I believe that is the correct stuff.
August 2nd and 3rd. I wish I could go. Fallers. Jameson Williams is on this list. At the top is Jalen Tolbert.
There we go. We did hit someone on the list. So it turns out Jameson Williams was on
The other list.
We just got
Let's
to
talk
it
about
early.
him again since
We got to it early.
For those just
Anything
tuning
else
in.
we got to add?
Are any of these ballers interesting? I guess Tracy is a little.
Dunze is to me.
I think Burrow is going to wind up at like ADP 64 by the time it's going to be by the time we finish this in August. He's going to be more commonly stacked at the 6-7 turn with Chase and Higgins than he is
cromulent price.
Not quite into last call territory. Jalen Tolbert, Tyreek Hill, Williams, Roma Dunze down 4 spots, Tyrone Tracy, Jerome Ford into last call territory at 202. And then Joe Burrow. Dunze, man, that's hard for me because I still want to believe in the player. We love the offense. I know they're loaded and they've reloaded with Loveland and Burden, but what is Odunze? Whether that's best ball or even dynasty, I guess you can't.
One of Moore or Odunze they don't like. There's just no other possible way to interpret taking Loveland and Burden.
That has to be more, doesn't it? Of the two? No,
because Rome was like kind of a red flaggy prospect just because he was older. Guys who wait that 4th year can be anything, dude. The guys who wait the 4th year can be John Baldwin so easy. And especially because we know that Penix is probably
Baldwin was an early declare.
Well, you know what I mean. Philip Dorsett. Philip Dorsett. He wasn't an early declare, right?
No, Philip Dorsett was not. Philip Dorsett was definitely not.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker. Devontae
Parker. There you go.
Yeah, but Ryan Grigson said that Philip Dorsett was top 15 on their board, so they got him a steal at pick 30.
Didn't even realize that was a Jacob jab, but I'm glad it was because he deserves it today.
Click.
There's no way to confidently say right now the Bears definitely hate Moore. They definitely hate Odunze. These guys are not worth drafting. I think the market has it right. They both dropped like pretty good in cost to where I said this 2 weeks ago, but the market was eventually going to agree that I was right on Moore and Rome. I haven't moved them in my rankings, and now I'm able to draft them because they're now available where I have them ranked. But yeah, I would love to hear an alternate explanation for, oh, dude, we love Rome, we love Moore, but we definitely need to spend the 10th pick on a tight end, and we definitely need to spend the 38th pick on a wide receiver.
I think there's another explanation, and I don't know that it's necessarily better for either Rome or DJ, but it might be that like they don't love or hate Rome and DJ. They were like, these are the guys we inherited, and they're cool. But they love Loveland and Burden so much that they were willing to draft them anyways. Now, I don't know if that's any better for Moore and Odunze.
Yeah, that sounds maybe
they just
more
love
bearish.
The new guys so much that they're willing to set aside the old guys that they like. That's probably not that much better than if they just hate one of the old guys. But that's why, to me, either way, I just want to bet on the new guys. Rome is getting to an ADP that I'm fine with, though. I think he's probably going to keep falling a little bit, settling in the mid 6 to late 6. That's when I think it's a pretty massive drop off at wide receiver. I'm going to be totally
agree on that.
Price.
Yeah, Rome is getting close to where I'm just happy to take him again. Moore have been a little bit further behind on, but he's also pretty close now to where I'm just like good. So yeah, similar thing to Davis. Like we move these guys down. The ADP takes a little while to catch up on underdog sometimes, and this is kind of steadily working its way to where these guys are well priced again.
Slower than risers rise because of auto drafters.
Exactly. So you kind of have to be a little patient with these guys that you're fading, and it can get kind of like sweaty where you're like, I'm never gonna have Bears again. But like they will fall in a situation as clear cut as this, and I bet they fall a little further. You know, this is one of the lessons from doing the show is that the fallers tend to show up repeatedly on the chart. I bet that one of these guys is on the chart.
Well, just look
next
where
week,
Leone
too.
has him ranked, and eventually they'll get there.
that is also a predictive metric. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Burrow one, I would love for you to be right about that he falls like, kind of a full, 2 turns. But do you think Chase Brown kind of helps? Because people do like to scoop value, and if you have Chase Brown, you can do Burrow, and you can always backstack a Sickie or something like.
I don't think so.
Or just naked Burrow. I think maybe naked.
I mean,
Burrow.
Naked Burrow's got to be like
naked Burrow.
Tell me how you win.
ADP is going to be like. Well, yeah. I mean, the tools aren't going to recommend it. But that's where that's why I think his ADP is going to be like 64, because I think he's going to keep falling a little bit, and then once he hits like 56 in ADP, then all of a sudden like people aren't going to want to click him anymore at that 4 or 5 turn. And I think that's going to expedite the fall, because then you're not going to have a lot of teams that are going to want to take him naked. You'll have it on occasion, but then all of a sudden he's going to fall into like, once he gets past 60, then it's the point where like some people take him naked. He never goes 4 or 5. And then every time he falls to the 6, 7, the Chase or the Higgins team takes him. Mm-hmm. And you could see it settling too, where maybe if he goes at like, say 62 or even like 56 or something, maybe Higgins starts to move up, because the Higgins draft was like, I'm going to get ahead of the Chase draft, or I'll take Higgins early and then I'll scoop the Burrow value coming back in the mid 6th. You could see something like that.
That's interesting. You could see that.
It's interesting too how like Jalen Hurts goes ADP wise right around the same spot, with not AJ Brown, who's on the other end, but Devontae Smith right there in the FFPC Hardway draft, recognizing not best ball, but Adam Krautwurst and I had the 101. So Chase, and we knew we would have Eagles or Bengals options with the quarterback at 4 or 5.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's crazy, by the way, that Jalen Hurts is like you could take him in like the late 5th.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know, plus 197 to be the highest scoring quarterback or something.
Yeah, when Hurts falls to the 5th, it's
just
sometimes
like, what do we?
It can be frustrating occasionally, because I'm like, I didn't plan for this. This isn't what my team's supposed to look like, and now I just like, what? I have to take Jalen Hurts now. I guess I do.
I guess it's just people just don't like him. People are just like they're. It's kind of like they're aesthetically turned off by the tush push. They're just like, I don't like it. It's
still just 26.
It's like Jalen Brunson's foul grifting. Like people don't like it, but it's just undeniably effective, right, Jacob?
No comment.
God damn, dude.
Back to the
buried 3 of my guys in a row. He deserved it.
Xavier Worthy's going to be in the CFL.
He might be a Blue Bomber.
Yeah, I don't even want him on the Blue Bombers. Too small. He would actually
can't beat press.
Well, no, it'd be great in a league where you can.
Oh my God, he could have the waggle.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Unbelievable.
Running start. He would be
full head of steam.
Player. In all honesty, he would be the best player in the history of the Canadian Football League. He would win.
He's
MOP
perfectly
every
fit
year.
for it.
On the schedule, by the way, so the networks are taking turns announcing 1 or 2 games, and ESPN's this morning on Good Morning America, I believe, was the Week 10 Packers-Eagles game in Green Bay. Is the tush push thing, the Packers proposing to have it banned, really that interesting? Like, is that going to be? I didn't, get up early enough to see that, but is that why that game is so prominent? That we're announcing a Week 10 Eagles at Packers? Like, is that a rivalry thing that we're supposed to care about because of the tush push?
The tush bowl.
The tush bowl?
I don't know.
Well, that's what they gave us. We have 4 Eagles games on the schedule that are official, and here in Buffalo we got 0. But we'll get our chance.
We got a Colts game announced today. Falcons in Germany.
Munich. Any interest?
Sure. I'd love to go to Germany. I'm not sure it'll work out.
You think
but,
you think
sounds
Anthony
like a great
Richardson
time.
is brushing up on his German?
I don't think
Well,
he has to
well,
worry about that. I don't
Well,
think he's gonna be
famously,
playing in November.
they tweeted the graphic of that game. Schefter did without Richardson on it.
Correct. That was
They couldn't
what
find
I
him.
knew.
No one had heard from
That
him.
was when
Who made the graphic? Taylor?
the league.
No, but
Michael
who?
Pittman.
Michael Pittman was on the graphic. Who was?
Oh
No.
represented?
Oh, who was in the graphic? I don't know.
Yes.
Taylor, I
Their
think.
center. The center was the first.
Oh,
Was
that's
like
not
the
good.
the
Oh,
center
baby.
of the image. Yeah,
Oh,
No.
your team's in
What?
good.
Wouldn't be our center. Do you mean Quentin Nelson?
sure. Quentin, whatever, left guard.
Yeah, left guard. Tanner Bordolini ain't making a graphic.
Tanner Bordolini would be
Damn.
very funny if it wasn't
Tanner
instead
Tanner
of Richardson,
Bordolini
it was Tanner Bordolini.
would be funny.
It's like, hey, I
does
got you the
just
guy
say-
snaps for a quarterback. Couldn't actually get you him. No one's heard from him.
Too risky to put a quarterback on that.
Oh yeah. I saw it. It's Taylor and it's Quentin Nelson, and then it's Bijan in London.
Perfect.
Davis, I used your dynasty rankings in a startup I'm in, and nobody wants Jalen Warren. And I think you guys all have Jalen Warren at around the same, like early 60s. It was the last time I looked, but 2 rounds late. You find that to be true? Like, is there out there?
I don't
whether it's
even.
best
I
ball
don't
or
even
not?
really want Jalen Warren. You're looking at 2 of the last remaining Japanese soldiers still fighting World War
I'm
II on
kinda-
Jalen Warren,
kinda
or maybe
done
just
with
one of
that.
them. Maybe Jacob's done. Just like, dude, we're year 4. If it was gonna happen, it would have happened. Caleb Johnson is the epitome of the Arthur Smith back.
I was all in until they drafted Caleb Johnson. Now I'm like, I'm fine with him in best ball, I guess.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, I mean, I
actually took them together on a team this morning.
I was all in last year in part because it's like this is actually the window. Part of my argument for him last year was like this is when these backs blow up.
Exactly.
It's
Yep.
it's this year where they've got the weak incumbent that we know he can take the job from. He deals with the injuries. It doesn't happen. It's a bummer. But this year we weren't like ever that high on Warren. Personally, I still like Warren a lot, and I hope he has a great season. But like as far as ranking it, there was always a lot of risk, and the Caleb thing hurts. We're behind in ADP. We're about 5 spots behind. We're like slightly behind on Caleb, so it's not like. I mean, part of it is that this team doesn't have a quarterback, so investing in any of the pieces feels like a little rosy.
Maybe they will by the end of the day. Caleb Johnson,
maybe,
75,
yeah.
Jalen
So-
Warren, 105. But
yeah,
not a-
I mean, I think Warren's still like a solid enough kind of contingency, little standalone value type of bet.
Yeah. And they'll have a role.
Yeah.
He'll have a role. He'll
For
definitely
sure.
have a role. It's just not as exciting as it was. I mean, the Najee part of it was like a big part of it. That this is a guy who can lose a job to another back, which is exactly what everyone expects him to do this year if they get beat out by Martin Hampton. But Caleb Johnson, like, I don't know how good he is, but it's quite possible he's better than Najee. And even if he's not, I think we're still going to like see the Steelers learning that down the stretch this year. So it's like the timing of like when Warren is likely to be ahead of Johnson is actually now flipped. Where like
Right.
Warren, if Johnson's not that good, Warren probably has more of an early season role than we expect, but we still might get more Johnson down the stretch as he kind of gets his feet under him and they check out what they have. So yeah, it's just way less exciting as far as the best ball mania way to play it.
Yep.
maybe a random name, not on this list, but have never discussed this guy. I know almost nothing about him. You guys have a thought on Ricky White, Seattle receiver, Davis?
Led college football in punt blocks last year.
Punt blocks.
Punt blocks, 4 punt blocks. He outproduced Jaden Reed in the one game that they played with each other as starters at Michigan State. Do you know who that game was against? Michigan.
No.
Michigan.
Oh.
It was like the biggest game on their schedule. Then Ricky White was immediately dismissed from the team
For being good against Michigan?
You're not allowed to do that.
for some sort of alleged crime.
Oh.
He ended up suing Michigan State University for being like unfairly kicked off the team.
Mm.
Weird COVID season at UNLV. Outproduced Kyle Williams. Much discussed, oft chattered Kyle Williams at UNLV.
Go on. Yes.
And then was awesome last year at UNLV. But basically just one of those guys who just had a very weird experience as a collegiate prospect and then was not good at the combine or his pro day.
But he does have the good underlying stats like that people like. So he was not drafted, but signed UDFA with the Seahawks, which means there might be room
I actually
for
think
him.
he was drafted.
I thought he went in the
picked
7th.
Oh, he did? Okay.
7th round pick.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All of that is to say, you might tell from all that background information, pretty into Ricky White conceptually.
Clearly.
In practice, I think you're looking at a ceiling of him being the new Chris Matthews. Like, comes in the game, runs like 9
Winnipeg
routes.
Blue Bomber legend Chris Matthews.
Yeah, like makes like one really cool play at some point as a receiver, and we just never hear from him again. But I am intrigued.
They also
Very good.
they have Torrey Horton, so that's I'm hoping
Yeah.
Horton's the rookie that we get there. Kind of taking the MVS role is like his path.
People forget that prior to randomly appearing as a prominent component of a Super Bowl, Chris Matthews was the CFL's most outstanding rookie for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
He also Chris
they?
Matthews went to my university,
Nice.
Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was
We might have even
Keon
lost.
Coleman on that Michigan State team?
Didn't he go to Kentucky?
Different Matthews. Different Matthews. Sorry, this is a different Matthews.
Sorry. I apologize for calling you out on your lies and
Now
disinformation.
now I need to know who it is. Now I need to remember who this is that went to K-State.
Which Matthews went to K-State?
Which Matthews? There was a Matthews wide receiver.
We'll figure it out.
Not Jordan Matthews.
Are you talking about the MSNBC host Chris Matthews?
No.
Is
Chris
that who-
Matthews.
No, I'm sure he went to some liberal coastal, he went to Dartmouth probably.
When do we get to Austin Matthews,
Look it
Jacob,
up.
and will
I'm
he
with
score
you, yeah.
again in these playoffs?
Austin Matthews will not be scoring.
LaSalle.
No.
Chris Matthews was
also,
LaSalle in 1967.
Chris. He also attached. He went to the College of the Holy Cross. Shut up, Bill Simmons.
Shut
he
up,
also
Bill
went to
Simmons.
University
Tough
of
day
North
to be
Carolina,
Bill
Chapel
Simmons.
Hill.
Chris Harper,
and Harvard
by the way, is who I was
University.
thinking of.
Yeah, it's been scintillating podcasting.
Who are we on?
Are there any
Which
other
Matthews are we on?
MSNBC hosts? Do we want to know where Ari Melber went to university?
Maybe next week.
Brian Williams.
You guys want to dive into last call? There's some names here that might be in play.
Brian Williams. Brian Williams, a 3-year graduate, actually.
I think at work
No,
today
I
I'll be
could-
talking about the NBA lottery.
I can confirm that Rachel Maddow went to Stanford and Lincoln College.
All right.
What is this? MSNBC host college Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Where are you getting all this so fast? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
just clickety clack.
Last call.
Yeah, I can't get the slides up, but I can tell you where Chris Matthews went to college.
Players with underdog ADP of 200 or higher. A little bit of change in that in the last couple of weeks. If you're able to
I have
see us, the teams are posted.
such a good pick. Can I go first because I don't want to
Go
get
ahead.
sniped?
Go ahead.
Sure, I got one, but I went first last time, so why don't you take it?
All right, I would like to take Audric Estime. You want to talk about it if this was the old CLV game, the first
Mhm.
time we almost already got there, but the first time that a reporter asks who the starting running back is for the Broncos, Estime's name is coming out before RJ Harvey's. Doesn't
Which
mean
war are you
you
gonna cite this time, because you've done the Battle of Trafalgar, you've done the Peloponnesian War. Which war is next?
I did the Crimean War. Why don't we go
Crimean War?
the Great Northern War between Charles XII and
Nice.
Peter the Great. We'll
Love
go
it.
we'll go with that one. Yeah.
We're right in line with the new Rest is History pods. We're just like, what's new?
Exactly.
There it is.
Mike knows my secret, which is that I'm actually not smart and I don't read. I just listen.
No,
to
I didn't
podcasts.
say that. We're both fans of
Yeah.
that pod, is all. All right. Again, like a very different game. You got to hope that you back into points from Estime in the playoff.
Still,
week
I mean,
somehow.
it's still very unclear how we're going to determine the winner of this game, but
It's
Estime
a
is my
best ball
pick.
team, I think, that we're scoring in the
Okay,
final
all
3
right.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was made clear. Man, we're kind of running out of players here.
I got a guy.
I got a guy. Go ahead,
You
Jacob.
go first. You go first.
I don't want to take yours again.
No, you go first. I
right.
insist.
I'll take Roman Wilson.
That was exactly what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
Is that right?
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I was 100%.
I'm sorry.
I can't
I had a
believe
feeling. That's why I let you go.
Wow. Last week, Rashard Smith, I get it, or 2 weeks ago, but Roman
No,
Wilson.
Roman
I didn't think I was
Wilson
sniping
was
anybody on that.
objectively the correct pick, I think, Mike.
God
Wide
damn.
receiver 2?
Yeah.
Probably wide receiver 3. They seem to like Calvin Austin, but I
Maybe-
think he might be good. I think Roman
maybe
Wilson
good.
might be kind of good. Yeah.
Yeah. What did he put up in that Michigan State game with?
I bet
guys,
nothing. By the
Kevin
way,
White?
he might. I bet literally nothing.
Ricky White?
Let's go find out.
Ricky White, Keon Coleman, Jaden Reed for Michigan State. Yeah, Roman Wilson, I think, is worth a dart throw. All right, Jacob, scrambling through MSNBC,
yeah,
Twitter to try
Pat-
to find.
Pat's
replacement.
got to go here while I
Okay.
find the backup name.
Roman Wilson 5 for 71, no touchdowns. Ricky White in that game
Nice.
8, 196 and 1.
196.
Yeah,
Who won the
in a
game?
win. In a win, by the way.
Yeah. Wow.
So, all right, I'll do one. This is not news related, but is a guy that we've liked at Legendary Upside a decent amount. I'll do AD Mitchell.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about who had the same yards per route run. Keon Coleman,
Oh,
Xavier Worthy. Let's throw AD Mitchell in there. 1.51
Nice.
yards per hour. Literally the exact same 1.51 that Xavier Worthy put up. We also talked about guys who take a little while to kind of become NFL professionals.
no, guys don't get better in the
Jameson
NFL.
Williams.
Per Jacob, guys don't get better. They don't improve.
Jameson
we
Williams.
talked about how I actually want guys who are bad so that we can see the growth.
Yeah.
80 Mitchell also fast, so Jacob is not into that.
He's also fast, so Jacob's out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? AD Mitchell can draw targets. His targets per out run last year was actually pretty strong. So we need
Ninth-
we need him
ninth in
to.
the NFL.
Yeah, his targets per out run was 25%. Dude can draw
Yeah.
targets. Get on the
Extremely
field
fake
more.
targets per outrun, but I'm still support it.
Yeah, do more with your targets, and we might have something here. All you got to do is pass Alec Pierce in your second year, and
All you got to do
Yeah.
is pass the guy who went
Alec
808
Pierce is
last
the most unfairly maligned wide receiver in the NFL. That guy is like such a helpful player to this team, and all the fantasy community wants to do is just wish cast him out of our lives. It's just
we do.
disrespectful. It might be
He's
reverse race.
Jalen Guyton. He's drawn safeties deep, helpfully.
He was
but-
the Colts' leading receiver in yards last year.
Yeah, that's an Anthony Richardson stat.
80 Mitchell death smash.
Hey,
was in your targets per route running
Flacco
league.
killed it with Alec Pierce too.
Hmm.
I like 80 Mitchell. Look, I was gonna take someone young and exciting today. I was planning to take Roman Wilson.
Oh.
I
want to guess.
Now I don't know who to take, so I'm going back to my well of old free agents. I'm taking Nick Chubb.
Oh, who are you, man?
I guessed wrong. I guess Lockett.
I would
Oh,
like
yeah.
just PSA to opposing counsels with Jacob. If you fluster him, you can
You can create an unforced error if you want.
just figure out
this
where
is
he's headed
not
and
a
cut him
bit.
off at the pass.
Pat's trying to get
It's actually not a
Jacob
bit.
in
I'm
chambers. In chambers.
I'm actually drafting a lot of Nick Chubb.
Are you?
The other ones are kind of bits. I haven't drafted any Amari Cooper. I've drafted one share of Deontay Johnson. I've drafted Nick Chubb like in 30% of my drafts. I just find it incredibly unlikely that he's not going to sign. And then when he does sign, I think he's going to be like at pick 150. And then I'm never going to take him. But I've been drafting plenty of the Chubbster.
He turns 30 in December, and he had a devastating knee
He's
injury
built
that didn't
different.
seem to get back from. I think
Yeah, well, that's bad.
I think the Browns moving on from him,
And
and
at
then
least that is like desperate for goodwill.
Yeah.
Not re-signing their like favorite player in their franchise. Like at least that is like a pretty good sign too.
I think he probably retires. Would be my guess.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
No,
That'd be a
no,
massive
these
bummer.
guys never hang it up. He's a Raven.
I don't know, man. I think it might be
He's-
one of those
He's
like
this year's
it's time
Latavius
to
Murray.
just the way he came off the how bad the injury was, and then what he showed last year, the age. I don't know. I guess if he wants to play
I just like
enough, maybe someone will sign him.
I get he was terrible last year. I mean, if I was an NFL team, I would give him a shot for like a tiny contract, like second year off the injury, one of the best pure runners of all time. Like, why not? Like, why would I not give him a camp invite? It just seems wild.
I think that happens. I mean, it's still only May.
What's the worst that could happen?
He's
Nick
not
Chubb, come to
retiring.
camp. Especially like Nick Chubb is like he's like a noted great guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah,
like
that's
anyone's,
true.
Like, worried about bringing him into their locker room. Like everybody thinks he's like a lovely chat.
That's true.
Who
Yeah.
plays more NFL games in the future, Nick Chubb or Derek Carr?
Carr.
Yeah. Do we think the Carr retirement's real?
Speaking of our Indianapolis Colts fan, Jacob Sanderson, how are you liking knowing that your 2027 starting quarterback just medically
Get
retired?
out of here.
I'm so sorry to the dynasty community for touting Nick Shuck. What a terrible service I gave you just to get the starting quarterback for the Saints completely for free.
By the
My
way,
bad.
look at my pick last
Tyler.
week.
Yeah, that was gonna be my pick, and you jumped the turnstile.
Two
That one I'm
quarterbacks
pissed
for my
about.
theoretical best ball team.
That one
That's
I'm pissed
good.
about. I wanted
Sharp.
Tyler Shuck so bad.
Very sharp.
He would have been.
I think
He would have been a
Carr
great
comes
fit
back.
in terms of age with Cooper and Deontay.
Yeah,
and Nick
yeah.
Chubb
Mhm.
and Aaron
He's a
Rodgers.
chaperone for the rest of your picks.
Yeah. There we
Yep.
go. Look at that. Thanks, Brett Jones. Nick Chubb could have legendary upside when he signs. I don't think so.
When you started talking, I thought you were going Tyler Lockett.
Stay
he's in the
tuned.
200s now.
Future week, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I'm going first next week, and I'm preemptively taking Tyler Lockett.
I had a tweet.
Now he went. Now he did go to K-State. There you go.
Yeah, he did.
You want to see this real
same
quick?
time as me. Same time as me, Tyler Lockett.
Right.
I liked this
I
from
consider
Warren
Lockett.
Sharp yesterday. All 32 teams ranked by how much money by cap hit they're spending at wide receiver. There it is. So that's from
Yeah,
the bottom. You see the
zoom in a
Chiefs
little.
near the bottom.
All their
Tennessee.
guys are rookies.
Yep. Tennessee is third.
Well, they're still paying Calvin Ridley some, or they're still paying
Yeah.
Hopkins dead money.
Right.
And then
Calvin Ridley
Ridley's
had a big
deal.
big contract.
Ridley's deal. When none of your starting wide receivers are rookies, you're paying them all crazy money because receivers are so expensive now.
Some of these teams make sense. Miami. I like Buffalo at 18 at 28 or 26.6 million. You see some teams like Houston and the Rams and Minnesota, quintessentially around the middle with stars.
Minnesota around the middle is nuts.
It is.
It is.
Addison making like nothing, Felton making nothing, Naylor making nothing. They have one big
They
contract.
have one big
Well,
guy. Yeah.
According to you
What-
guys, Jordan Addison sucks. So
No one
That's a quote.
said
Don't
that.
lump me.
No
Don't
one
lump
said
me in
that.
there. I was saying to
Shope
take Addison.
and Davis for like Jordan Addison stinks.
quote.
What a loser.
Yeah. Who?
Kenny Pickett made him everything he is.
That's right. It's a quote.
I think if I remember correctly, I think the Tennessee Titans are paying DeAndre Hopkins $10 million this year to play for the Ravens. I believe was the number.
How do you
Yeah,
like
New
the Bill
England 15th.
gotta be
That
a good
is-
fit
that
on
is
my team,
bad.
too.
Diggs?
New England's 15th. Is that Diggs? What
They
Yeah,
paid
but
so
they
much
gave
for Diggs.
Like, they gave Diggs like $24 million.
And Mac
Oh.
Hollins got $8 million, right?
That's so bad.
What is
Do
Mac?
they have?
hold
Do they cut anybody? Like, how is it?
on.
they might still be paying some Juju money.
Juju?
I'm not sure.
yes, they are. They are paying.
Remember when they
'cause
signed Juju for the
Yikes.
exact same contract that Jacoby Myers would have
As
taken?
Jacoby
and then they
Myers.
decided they wanted Juju instead.
Davis.
Well, yes. Mike.
I'm sorry. I just thought you'd like the Bills here at
So bad.
18 with that's Josh Palmer and Coleman is a rookie. It's not even the Shakir contract yet. And it's also not including tight ends. They pay 18.3 to Knox and Kincaid combined. Knox is 15. So if you
Adam
put
Milford,
tight ends,
Jackson Haas.
that's right. If you put tight ends on there, the Bills come up
It's
here
so-
and
The Bills
Boom.
are truly an exercise in let's see, like it feels like a bit. It's like a rehearsal, like Nathan Fielder bit. Like I've never watched that show. I'm just trying to pretend to be cool. It's just like let's see what happens if we give Josh Allen nothing but slot wide
Pretending
receiver.
is a big theme of that show, so maybe.
Going back to Davis just exposing himself at every turn here, like last week with the rankings. Like he and I are in the Goodwill Hunting scene where like, do you like these apples? Because I called out a book and he's like, or the podcast. He's like, oh, you're right. I didn't read it. I didn't actually know anything about Peter the Great, but I heard the name recently. Poor Davis.
I did. To be fair, I did. After listening to that podcast, order a book about Peter the Great because he's really interesting.
Nice.
So I'm claiming future knowledge there. I'm really into the War of the Roses right now.
That was the
right?
basis for Game of Thrones.
Henry V and Henry VIII. Yeah, it's really interesting. But the Patriots wide receiver room, by the way, I mean it is just so funny, man. The Mac Hollins, Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, Kendrick Bourne, Kyle Williams, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. This is actually the funniest thing about it is that the our lads depth chart lists Polk and Baker, who we all theoretically loved last year, as the wide receiver 8 and 9. I mean, it is just
that's probably too high.
So you're saying they're too high?
I'm saying. Well, here's the real question: do the Patriots have the cojones to just be like, you know what, Polk, dude, you're just terrible. It's over,
just
man. We're just cutting you.
No.
Well,
Baker maybe.
So Williams, Diggs, Douglas, and Hollins are roster locks. And then they probably have 2 other spots, right? And those 2 spots will be.
I think Bootie's probably going to make the roster.
I think Boutte would make the roster.
Bootie's going to start, dude.
I don't think he's going to start. But he'll make the rosters the 5th.
May loves
and then that
May
means like you got 1 spot left for Baker. Polk. Baker's toast. It's not happening.
I think so.
And then they probably keep Polk as the 6th and cut Kendrick Bourne.
I think that's probably right.
The answer, as always, is Hunter Henry, New England. Okay. What's coming up? Jacob, what's coming up other than watching the Leafs try to plow through?
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing that's coming up. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the dynasty stuff's pretty much done. I did a big mailbag last week for all that stuff. So yeah, we'll have a bunch of best ball seasonal content up on Thinking About Thinking soon. I've been taking like a slight break after the barrage of rookie dynasty content. Dynasty points as always every Tuesday night. And yeah, stay tuned to Thinking About Thinking. We'll get all the seasonal stuff up. I can promise. I can't promise any tools on Thinking About Thinking. The law job has unfortunately stopped me from being able to sabotage the best ball industry with tools. So none of those, unfortunately, or very fortunately, depending on your point of view. But we'll certainly have rankings and analysis.
Thinking About Thinking seems like by its title, definitively tool agnostic. We're not here for the tools. That's
true.
the whole
point. We are a
put
Luddite
this
operation at Thinking About Thinking. We fear innovation at all corners.
No tools. Davis? Full cutoff.
If you guys really like tools. No, I'm streaming for 8 hours tomorrow. It's gonna be the subathon as the calendar, the schedule comes out. Crane is on, Overzet's on, the Badge Bros are on, Ian Harditz is on. Jacob, I was actually gonna ask you if you are free at this time tomorrow, our normal time, 7 a.m. local time for you, 9 a.m. for me. If you wanted the first block, it's yours.
Yes, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, but just for one draft, right? I'm not like as free as long as this show is, but I can do one draft.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
I was
Jacob,
worried you're going to rip away that invite as payback for the worthy tweet, but
no.
glad you guys
although I'm sure we'll be able to argue about something. So it's going to be super huge. Reeves is on, Ron is on. It's going to be big, long stream. I think if we get to, this is probably a lofty goal, adding 750 subscribers in a day, but I will do.
Sweet.
I have a very funny idea for a giveaway, but it's unclear how many people who take in best ball content remember Fantasy Insiders, the original home of the Swolecast. But I've been thinking of the perfect way to do a Fantasy Insiders. I have like some of the shirts from way back in the day. Thinking about that, but there'll be something. There will be something. Buck is not going to be on. I do have a video with Pete's video editor, Buck, who is one that has the most nuclear takes alive. We have a video coming out on the Jags backfield on Saturday. But yeah, big.
The worst takes of the internet guy.
Yes. Yeah.
From you.
Yeah. He's Buck is happy to let it fly. But that is happening tomorrow. So please.
I got to start ripping your guys so I can get an invite like Jacob. Pat, what are you up to this
week?
Happy
to have you, Mike.
You just got to be. Your response to negging.
I'll be back on streaming as well. Some this week, doing some streams with the Sidekick. Going to be having some content up on the site from Matt Irby this week. Daniel Raz also has an article coming out reasonably soon. We should have Eliminator rankings up, probably early next week, but hopefully by the time before we meet here again, I'm hoping to have the Eliminator rankings launched as well.
Nice.
LegendaryUpside.com.
Davis, we'll get that done. I got that riding mower to tool around on. 82 and sunny here yesterday, so it's definitely cut the grass season in Western New York. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening.
Man. Hasn't even 82. Been 82 here yet, man.
Record high, I think, yesterday. Only 72 today. Now you know that. We got to get our Buffalo weather quota filled.
Farmer's Manual said it was going to be 70.
How would I know? It's $10.
Hey, Mike, have you been golfing?
No, not yet. Driving kids around, lacrosse, hockey, cutting the grass.
I've been playing. I've been playing a lot.
Nice. I've only been out twice so far, but we're getting there.
I'll get a game.
Crane doesn't golf either or watch hockey. You might be on the wrong show.
I don't know. Brother. I don't have a lot in common with this man other than fantasy football.
You guys both hate fast wide receivers, so that's enough.
That's true. This is all. I was golfing a week ago, and we were paired up with two people. We get to the course, and I realized quickly the two people we're paired up with are 10 years old and 7 years old. But they're coming with their parents as chaperones. And they're like prodigies. Like they were unreal.
They were smoking you.
Absolutely. Except on the second hole, one of them hits like a chip that would not great, but like for a 10-year-old, it's pretty impressive. Chips it to like 20 feet. And the dad races up about like 30 yards from where he chipped it, grabs the ball, throws it in the forest, and just screams like, "Ah!" And I'm like, what the hell did I just witness?
Yep.
And I'm like talking to my friend. We're like, what is going on? And then a couple holes later, I'm on like one side of the fairway and she's standing beside the dad. And the dad's like, I guess you're probably wondering like why I screamed earlier. And she's like, I was a little bit. Yeah. He's like, well, what you have to understand is, and we're thinking like we're going to hear the good excuse. He's like, my son's 10 and my other son is 7. And it just doesn't make sense that the 10-year-old is so much worse than the 7-year-old. So sometimes I just get frustrated by how bad he is that I have to yell at him. We're like,
wow.
What?
That's so gnarly. That's so gnarly.
And so like the entire rest of the round, like every time this 10-year-old hits the ball, we're like, great job, like awesome shot, like way to go, kiddo, get him, Tiger. Like,
Tiger.
Man, if I played with a 10-year-old who was better than me, that'd be tough.
The 10-year-old sucked, but the 7-year-old.
The 7-year-old, you got to see. Yeah. You got to see the 7.
Wait, after you cheered him on, where you're like, oh god, that was a rough shot.
Like this guy's never making it on the PGA Tour. His strokes gained tee to green are not up to par.
Oh. I'm not sure I could handle that for 18 holes. I think I'd either. You guys mind if we just fall back, or just pick it up, pick it up tomorrow? I don't know.
Wild.
That is rough.
Jeez.
All
right.
Golf. Really selling it, guys.
Thank you, boys. See you next week.
Yeah.